Grease is back at Chanhassen Dinner Theater, opening January 31st. Experience the nostalgia of high school in the 50s with this musical based on the iconic film. Head over to our contest page for your chance to win a pair of tickets, including dinner for two. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter today.
Someone on our Bradshaw Bryant KFAN text line says, Common, you forgot a little part of the bit and what positions you played. LOL. I just decided to drop that out. It was kind of up against the break, but I was a fierce pass rushing rock at Gibraltar, run stopping defensive lineman and precise route running, sure and pass catching tight end. One other Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line text that we received, 64686, that says, Abbott is creating a bad culture around the workplace, and I couldn't agree more. On that note,
fear-based organization is what it is.
It is a fear-based organization is what it is. And when he walked out of that Master Control studio, I thought Satan had left the studio. Time now, 4, 5, 3, 4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
Time now for an in-depth look at the state of hockey.
The Wild beat the Utah Hockey Club 5-4 in a shootout last night. Marco Rossi scored in the final minute to tie the game. Matt Boldy was the only scorer in the shootout. Marcus Johansson tallied a goal and 2 assists. Common, what sticks out to you from last night's win in Utah?
Just we win. That's all we do. We beat teams that don't have any nicknames, and that's fine. We beat teams with nicknames. We're one of the best teams in the National Hockey League, and I love what I see. Gus, did we give up 4 goals?
He gave up 4, and the last one was all on him. That was a bad one. Even the Clayton Keller ones on the power play, I get it, we're shorthanded, and we shouldn't be letting Keller shoot from that area, but it seemed like he's still giving up a little too much space on the far side on one of them. So,
do we? Just a blip, though, right?
He's been great.
Yeah, you can't be. Not everybody can be Rogaton Vachon every single game.
No,
so, very good.
Not everyone can be Chad Abbott every time when they come.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
I wish we all could be that way.
Question number 2. And now it's time to go in the paint.
ESPN's Brian Windhorst revealed on a recent episode of Get Up that the Warriors are ready to pursue a potential trade for Jimmy Butler. Windhorst mentioned that, but then he continued, but who else is on their list? That's LeBron James. The Warriors have dreamed of pairing LeBron with Steph Curry and Draymond Green since last year. They made an inquiry, and it got shut down last February. That was before LeBron played with Steve Kerr and Steph Curry and won gold medal over the summer. So they will definitely monitor the situation. But with LeBron, it's up to him, end quote. Common, what would you think of Jimmy Buckets or even LeBron joining the Golden State Warriors?
Not Jimmy Butler joining LeBron with the Lakers. Why not that? LeBron, Jimmy Buckets, street clothes. Let's go.
I think LeBron and Jimmy Buckets, that's too much alpha together.
Okay.
Too much alpha on one team.
Yeah, that is a lot of alpha, but Buckets has never won the whole thing, right? Has he?
I don't think he has. No, he's been in the finals.
I don't think he's got a ship. That's what LeBron wants to do. At 40 years old, he wanted to be able to say, Michael's not the only player at 40 years of age to play all 82 games. I am as well. Well, that streak got broke because I think he had to sit out the other night. So he's not going to match that mark. I think more than anything, he wants another ship. So could you say, I'll take alpha male, I'll deal with it for a year, but going to Golden State, that would make sense. I mean, you add LeBron to Golden State, I'd like that team's chances.
You like that?
Yeah,
you like that?
I would. I mean, again, it's the old, the one thing, and you look, you can do it in every sport. You can make trades. Every sport has a trade deadline, Seems like the NBA, though, as we've talked about, and I think most people would agree that there isn't a league, or in this case, an association, that is better at matching superstar players together because they want to play. I want to win a ship, so I'm going to go to this team. I'm going to join them and make it an all-star team, basically. So. Yeah, so sometimes you're like, but I would say if you put either buckets or LeBron over on Golden State, that would certainly increase that team's chances of being they would certainly go, I think, to one of the top 2 or 3 teams that people would say this team has a chance to win the whole thing.
I don't know if ironic would be the right word. Maybe Royce, you could help me out with that. But at the very least, I would find it amusing if the Lakers did all they did. They wasted a draft pick on LeBron's kid just to get the reunion together, and then he just leaves halfway through the year to go play somewhere else.
Is it a package?
I would find that funny.
Is it a package deal?
You got to bring Bronny with, don't you?
Does Bronny get to go too? I don't know.
Question number 3.
I think you'll like this one, Common.
Okay.
Ohio State Representative Josh Williams introduced the OHIO Sportsmanship Act yesterday. The act would make it a felony offense to plant a flag in the center of Ohio Stadium. The bill would, quote, prohibit planting a flagpole and flag in the center of the Ohio Stadium football field on the day of a college football game, and to name this act the OHIO Sportsmanship Act. The bill specifically mentions Ohio Stadium. Common, do you like the idea of a flag planting bill and that it would be a felony to plant a flag?
Well, it certainly is more than a petty misdemeanor, I think. It probably, I would put it on a misdemeanor level. But then again, does a misdemeanor discourage somebody from it? Right? I mean, I got ticketed for a misdemeanor. I got got fined or whatever. I don't think you do jail time with a misdemeanor. Felony makes you think twice about pounding that flag.
Felony seems a bit much for that act.
I don't know.
Can you get around it then by just laying the flag at the center of the field instead of planting it?
Make that a misdemeanor. Just laying it down. What if you said you could make it felony, and if you're convicted, life in prison? Do you think that would prevent people from planting the flag? I think so. I just glanced at the story. Is this just a local legislator from Ohio, right?
Yeah, Ohio representative.
Yeah. He's got to move on with his life.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, he's got to. It's like it's all right. Just as Mike Tyson said that one time, calm down. It's not good, but let's not.
He's a snowflake.
Yeah, he's obviously. He might even be doing it just to attract attention.
I'm sure he is, but still embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. Oh, no question, it's embarrassing. Yeah.
Question number 3.
We're gonna win.
Misdemeanors can have up to 90 days in jail on tour.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shout a hit, hooray! Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
There was a story in the Star Tribune today that the Twins are actively considering moving Royce Lewis across the infield to second base. Moving Lewis to second base would accommodate playing time at third for Brooks Lee and possibly Jose Miranda. Comment, should the Twins move Royce Lewis to second base?
If they think does it really matter with this team? They're not going to be a factor. They're just, I don't. But to answer your questions, I don't have a problem with that. To me, the more interesting thing was when he was playing third base last year, very sparingly because he was hurt all the time. He was adamantly opposed to playing second base. And in the story I read, and I don't know if it's the same one, I think it must have been the same story that you're alluding to. There were quotes from Lewis about, oh, no, I don't have a problem moving there. I just want to do it during the season. Or somebody speculated, maybe it was the writer, that, he didn't want to try to learn the position while they were fighting for a playoff spot because he thought it might be detrimental to the team if he could. And to me, that's just, I'm not saying that there aren't some differences between playing second base and third base. There are. The third base throws a little further. You got a line to protect. You're not turning double plays very often, at least at second. You're not the pivot guy catching the ball. So there's certainly some differences, but it's still baseball, and that if he was that concerned about it, I kind of go, really? What else is he concerned about? I don't know. But I don't mind him moving over there. And he says he's all for it as long as he gets time to actually work on it during spring training. So yeah, if they think it's the best, if Brooks Lee is better at third, when he first came up, and it was during this past season, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it was last year. He struck out at his first at bat without taking the bat off his shoulder, and then I think he had an 8-10 game stretch where he was really good, and then he was hurt for a while. I think
injury stuff,
yeah, but he still seems to have a bright future, and if he's a really good third baseman, then I think you do make the move. If that's his natural position or his best position, you move the guy to second. That I think third is a more difficult position to field than second. But
it is and it isn't. It's obviously a much harder throw, but from a range standpoint, you don't have to cover
true.
as much ground.
That's true. I played them both, and I found third, the hot corner. I thought
you don't have to learn how to turn too.
No, that's true. Yeah. I thought the hot, for me anyways, I thought the hot corner
you're closer to the ball. You got to have quicker reaction time. And the throw is much more challenging.
Yeah, it was more difficult for me, I thought. But
and that's it for today's edition of 5 questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Q-Dub, KOC, head coach of the soon-to-be Big Game World Champion Minnesota Vikings, his weekly news conference from TCO, the new Winter Park. That's next here on The Fan.
Want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program? Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Just call me Ray Bolger, Fred Astaire, or Ginger and Marianne as we tap dance until KOC begins his midweek weekly news conference. Speaking of Ray Bolger, Tenevie, we were discussing that yesterday, and then we had to go. Maybe that was Monday, and then we had to go to KOC before I was able to finish. Ray Bolger played the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, and I told you about Larry, who basically said the decision by Dan Campbell to go for on 4th down and 1 with 43 seconds to go in the game against the Packers on Thursday night was the worst coaching decision he'd ever seen, and thought if it had not worked, he should have been fired. And then if you'll remember, I responded, we step on the gas in Detroit. That's why it's called Motown. The roar has been restored. He texted back, unfortunately, that step on the gas idea can cost you a possible run in the big game when you start playing good teams in the playoffs. Then, of course, I texted back, well, the Packers are a playoff team, and they are a good team. And then I said, it's the chance you take. We're not coached by Bert Lahr. Bert Lahr would be the Cowardly Lion. That was the actor that played the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz. And we're not the Cowardly Lions. He texted back, and I like this. He used the Ray Bolger line. I think the coach is more like Ray Bolger, because if you remember, the Scarecrow didn't have a brain. It's a brilliant comeback, but there's still a flaw in what he says. He says, I think the coach is more like Ray Bolger, and maybe someday he will grow a brain and do the smart thing. Also, unlike what Carl Gerbschmidt might say, I believe the Packers to be an average team. I'll be watching the playoffs closely, and if his 4th down foolishness cost him the big game, I'll be happy to email and remind you. Will you also remind me if his 4th down foolishness leads to a victory? Will you do that as well? We talked about this yesterday. I think most people that don't have a rooting interest kind of get a kick out of Danny Campbell doing that. I think it's fun. Mm-hmm. I think there are those that do think that he goes a bit overboard on it, that he probably shouldn't have made that call. Because let's face it, had they not made the 1st down, my guess is Green Bay's ain't going to be able to go the 30 yards it would have needed 30, 40 yards to kick a field goal. But I also had to respond to him. And we've talked about this so often. It's like you get to a point in your life, for me, it's still more, I like their approach. I've been this way before Danny Campbell got there. You and I have discussed football strategy since we started working together, and I've been doing it here since 1993. And I like guys that throw the dice. I like a little razzle-dazzle. I like trick plays. I like being bold. I like going for it. I like going for 2-point conversions. Onside kick isn't what it used to be, but back when the old days, I liked when you'd do the surprise onside kick. Remember when Sean Payton did it in the big game? It helped lead him he did it to start the second half. It helped lead them to a world championship. And at the end of the day, if the kiddies, let's just say, for argument's sake, we can wish, we can wonder. Let's say they get to the big game and they try for it on fourth down against the Chiefs, the Bills, Pittsburgh, whomever might be the AFC representative, and it backfires. I'm going to go, oh, well, all right. It's unfortunate it didn't work. And then I'm going to move on with my life and start thinking about the upcoming golf season. Well, more than ever, I'm going to be here's KOC.
Of his performance the other day, recognized the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, playing just fantastic football for us, and just hoping we can continue supporting him and watching him go through these weeks preparing the right way, and it's showing up on Sunday. Excited for Monday Night Football. With the the whiteout at US Bank, I'm sure it'll be absolutely electric. Just want to take another opportunity just to highlight what it was like on Sunday to have that kind of environment and atmosphere. Was next level, fantastic by our fans, and we're going to need it. 60-minute battle with the NFC North team that we've got to play well. They're very talented, and you can already see Thomas's impact on their team. So we're going to need to put together a really good week of preparation. Got an extra day. Got to use it, putting the pads on today, and we'll get ready to go.
What has changed with the Bears with Thomas in charge, if anything?
I just think knowing the type of leader and human being that Thomas is, you're going to start to see the principles of Thomas come out in their team. So they're going to be tough. They're going to be prepared. They're going to turn it loose and play fast and physical for 60 minutes. And we've got to make sure we respond to that and continue with what we've really been searching for, which is December football, being our best football, 60 minutes a team, football in all three phases, everybody having a positive impact on our chance to win football games.
What went into doing a full pads practice?
You just only get so many by the rules here down the stretch. So with the extra day, knowing that we can get some good physical work in here on a Wednesday and still have a good amount of time to turn these guys over, slow down the pace tomorrow, and then have two good full speed days on Friday and Saturday.
And how will you handle the injured guys like Joe Moore and Pat Shell?
Yeah, today there'll be a few guys that, will either take limited work or we'll hold some guys out based upon where they're at coming off a Sunday and or as they work through, their timelines. Both those guys will kind of progress throughout the week and see what they're able to do as we get towards Friday and Saturday, and then just be smart about, getting them out there if we can. We'd love to have both guys. If not, we know we've got guys that can step up.
Where's Taki Taimani at? Is he somebody who could come back this year?
Yes. Yeah, he's a guy that could come back. Just continues to work through kind of the latter parts of his rehab, making sure he's 100% healthy when we need to call upon him.
You've been bullish on this team since before training camp. When did you see this thing possibly coming together the way it has this season?
Yeah, I thought we had a good spring. You never really know with how the rules are, during that teaching phase, but I just felt like the pieces that we had and the way we could kind of schematically sync up, hopefully enhancing the best parts of our team, and also, some of maybe the bigger question marks that were out there. I had a lot of confidence in our coaching staff. I had a lot of confidence in our leadership that if we just handled our business and continued to kind of understand through the journey of the season, if we're attacking it every day and just getting a little bit better, that builds confidence. The competitive side of training camp, I do think it was physical. I think that helped prepare us to get off to a fast start. And then we've had some guys just with really, really outstanding performances and growing confidence in each other, all three phases, win in different ways while not ever allowing any of that adversity to affect our team in any way, shape, or form. Guys just keep playing. Next play for 60 minutes, and like we went to Chicago, we needed a little bit more time, but we just keep playing, and then you just worry about the next day, and don't look too far ahead. Make sure we're correcting things, coaching hard, and trying to just challenge everybody to do whatever their individual part is to try to help this team maximize what we're capable of, and it's really been like that from the jump. New challenges, new teams, different phases of the year. Our guys have been a pretty mature team about taking that message over and over and over again to now it's just kind of our way, and it's been successful for us. So we're going to keep chasing it, and a lot of things we can continue to improve on as coaches and players, and that's what we're trying to do.
Kevin, you talked about having a big coaching staff and the benefits that come from that.
Yeah.
Player to coach ratio. Where do you see that show up in terms of benefits for players in terms of development?
Yeah, I think you see it show up a ton in the off seasons. Training camp, when guys really feel like an individual aspect of their training and their development and their feedback that they're getting real time, whether it's during a walkthrough or practice or in the meeting room setting. And then throughout the year, the player development side of things, the post-practice work that maybe guys that aren't taking part in the games on Sunday, but there's an individualized program for every player to try to maximize, what they can become, not only if called upon right now, which we've had plenty of examples of that this year, but also guys that we're projecting that growth well into the future. It's an individualized thing. I challenge all the coaches, and those assistant position coaches have a massive role here of on-field, on-the-grass coaching that I think is super valuable, not only for the player, but, I think back to my journey, that's valuable coaching experience that will only make all these guys that much more confident, convicted, to really show up here every day trying to help players get better.
Who kind of takes the lead in individualizing all those player plans? I mean, who puts those together for each player?
Yeah, so we have a pretty good system set up where all of our support resources kind of can come together, whether it's Tyler Williams, Josh Hinkst, Jasper, and our team in the player development space. We've got nutrition. Derek Keys plays a big role in that, kind of making sure he's heavily involved in each aspect of bringing those groups together. And then there's always a tactical, fundamental, from a standpoint of playing the game of football, that we're trying to really, laser in on, hey, what are three things? What are one or two things? You don't want the focus during player development to always be this massive scope of so many things. You want to try to get better at certain things that we can identify, and then once you have the emphasis on something, now you've got, the accountability factor and that personal responsibility of, hey, I'm getting coached, I've got support, I've got resources in every nook and cranny of this building. I love being here, so why not go maximize what it means to be a Minnesota Viking? That's kind of the global plan of not only player development, but our whole roster, and we try to live by it, and just, there's no sense talking about it if we're not going to authentically be that every single day. But good question.
When you play a team or game plan for a team second time in a short amount of time,
yeah,
do you have to fight against overthink sometimes?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think.
We're going to do this.
Yeah, I think there's the cat and mouse game that everybody plays schematically as you get later on in the season. There's a ton of inventory, but yes, we just played this team, three games ago, and what were the things we could do better just globally as a team. I thought there was some real ops in the game, either early with the early turnover, or just when we had, we go up 11 and we have the momentum in the game, we give up a long return, and then that turns into an opportunity for them to get the points that they needed late, which they did a great job executing late in that game. And just the experience factor of our team understanding all those little things that gave them an opportunity to stay in the football game and keep fighting and competing, which they did a great job of, but ultimately having to go find a way to win it in the end, which we were comfortable doing. But, you got to anticipate some schematical changes. You got to anticipate, how we're going to play the game. We didn't have J.O. the last time we played. What does that look like in the run and pass phase? And then ultimately, what does our tape look like now? Because in a lot of ways, 4 quarters or 2 games is, an eternity from a standpoint of adding inventory of things either we've done or maybe new ways that they played Detroit or San Francisco. So, you can tell by that answer that you could really go both ways with it, from the over analyzing to maybe not being prepared enough for the type of changes in schematics that you could see. So it's our job as coaches to be prepared for both scenarios, and we want our players to have ultimate clarity and go play fast.
Kevin, Flo yesterday talked about the importance of joy in coaching, and I think that probably shows up in the way the guys celebrate. Like, why joy? Why is that important in your mind?
Yeah, I just, the ultimate goal is to compete. Compete being the first thing we always want to make sure our guys do. But I do believe, you guys have heard me say this, that a positive energy is a true performance enhancer, especially when you're playing 17 games. Ask these guys to grind every single week in their preparation. Like, that 60 minutes should be the culmination of hard work, but it also should be a great opportunity every single week to put on display our way of doing things, which is we enjoy our success. We enjoy being in the trenches, fighting it out to try to get wins. And when we do, either post game in the locker room or post play when a turnover happens, or Jets or Jordan catch a touchdown, like, I want those guys to have fun. I never have any idea what's happening in those moments, so I kind of simulate the fun, I guess, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do in those moments. But I want our guys to have fun. Don't want to single them out, but showed the team Byron Murphy's celebration. It was very very well done. But Bo Richter was kind of like me in a lot of ways. He didn't really know what to do in the moment, and kind of went through the full spectrum of decision making, very similar to what I do, on the edge of a dance floor at a wedding, trying to figure out if I'm going to truly commit to this or not. I think Bo made a good decision in the moment, but as he told me today, he's got something planned. So even Bo Richter's ready to rock and roll, and can't wait to see it when it happens.
Time for 2 more questions,
level of
guys.
Protection that you guys have gotten from Cam Robinson.
Yeah.
What he's able to do against a guy like Judon. How huge is that? Just
I mean, I don't know many teams that can lose one of the best left tackles in football and win 6 straight, and that's a total testament to what Cam's been able to come in here and do. Chris Cooper and Sean coaching him, the other 4 guys, Blake next to him from a communication standpoint. It's been kind of something that even me sometimes, when we're game planning, we're like, we're not really thinking about the fact that we, don't have Christian Darrisaw in there, as great and as special of a player as he is, because we were able to find a guy like Cam Robinson to step in. And I think he's done a great job, kind of that perfect balance of, like, it's still chaos. There's still a lot going on, because this is all brand new to him after playing, essentially for your one team his whole career. Now he's playing, against opponents we're playing. He's obviously playing next to new players, hearing new cadence from Sam, totally new offense, and yet he still can play with technique and fundamentals and physicality and play style. So I'm glad you asked, and I think it's great to highlight what Cam Robinson's meant to our organization, and just how great of a fit he's been for us because of him, because of what he's brought, and the type of player and teammate that he's been. It's been fantastic for us as a team.
Kevin, as a play caller, how much have you felt the benefit of just the continuity working with Sam throughout this season, and what that's meant for you?
Yeah, I think it's been huge. I mean, the dialogue before, during, and after these games, we've tried to truly, operate in a way where we're kind of the extension of how I've answered a lot of questions about our team or the season or how we've kind of gone about it. It's a surgical process leading into it. It's making sure Sam feels total comfort. We haven't had many plays, but we've had a few where the red pens come out and it doesn't get called because, he doesn't like to play, and we got plenty of them. So every week I'm hoping there's more and more. Hey, let's get rid of them. Makes it easier to call the game. But then it's the during the game dynamic of the coach quarterback system, Josh and Grant with him on the sidelines, and then ultimately the post game of finding uncovering every stone to just make sure that, hey, we're using every 60-minute opportunity for Sam to maximize it, but then how do we just take it a little further, a little bit more comfort, clarity, and then make sure we all understand Sam is wildly talented. He's making some unbelievable big-time throws and plays, and I think as he continues to ascend and get more comfortable, I don't, defenses are going to try to do things every week to make him uncomfortable, but where he's at in his season and in this system, I have a ton of confidence that Sam's just going to continue onward and upward.
What's been your assessment of JJ McCarthy's time in this development program you created? I don't know if it's time to assess it yet or not, but what have you done so far?
Yeah, I think he's been really, really good, staying true to, the priorities that we put in place, and they've kind of changed now as he's turned the corner and really getting to a place where he's healthy, and now it can be more about the physical side of things moving forward, and he's starting that process and kind of in the middle of it right now. But I think the off the field work, the role in the quarterback rooms, my time, I know this, and when I meet with him one-on-one every week, he's got great questions, and they're very in-depth and really shows me a guy that's learning not just the top layer. He's really trying to consume a lot of information as if he was playing. So it's been great to hear that. And then, I just think about the resources we have globally, talking about player development. He's got a bunch of them. He's maximizing them. And we've got some new things we're trying out from a VR standpoint and different things. I'll let Wes get into that, but ultimately it's a setup that I'm proud of, and I'm proud of the way JJ's handled it, and now everything's out in front of him.
Just from the play action standpoint, Darnold's been really, really excellent statistically. Was there some point just along the way for you as a coach where you kind of learned about those, somebody you worked with, and came to understand kind of how those operate?
Well, I just think it's the core foundation of what we do is the play action pass is what are you doing in its purest form? Yeah, you're throwing the ball, but you're trying to at least essentially simulate conflict and runs, whether you have that exact run in or you've run it in a previous breakdown, and you know that people are carding up certain things that we do. So how do we put defenders in conflict where they have a gap, a responsibility in the play pass phase, but then also a coverage responsibility? And then we've done some things this year where within the concept we're trying to put coverage defenders in a bind, whether I'm covering this guy, but really what was this guy bait release patterns and things. There's a lot of kind of nerdy stuff that goes into it, but when you see it come to life in a way that makes it easier for Sam to just throw and catch, that's objective completed, and it doesn't always work out, and that's where I think he's been really good, putting the ball in play, avoiding negatives, checking the ball down, and we've reaped the benefits of some yards after catch from him doing that, keeping us on schedule, and then we've got our whole playbook at our disposal. It gets difficult sometimes, like even the other day, we had a lot of things in the play pass world we ended up leaving on the sheet because Atlanta did a nice job beating some blocks one-on-one in protection on those early downs, and you go from momentum driving to now you're kind of trying to get back on track or survive a sequence instead of being in attack mode. So there's always some ebbs and flows to that, and you might have to adjust and alter, go to a little bit more of a tempo game, go to a little bit more of a different personnel game. That's what I think our team's kind of grown at, and what I'm trying to grow at is just having multiple paths in game to get the same result. And maybe it might be different. You can't script the game. You got to react. You got to adjust, and we got to find a clear path to having success. And that's what I think our whole group kind of is maturing together in trying to do.
Kevin, go back to something you said. There's only been a couple times where he's taken the red pin and said, I don't like this play. What would go into a quarterback saying, I don't like that play? Is it the look? Is it what he's asked to do? Or?
Yeah, it could be. Honestly, it could be a variety of different things. It might be previous experience, against an opponent, or previous experience with a similar concept where, he's maybe said previously, hey, I don't really like that concept. So what do we do as coaches? We try to, dress it up and call it something different and try to sneak it around, hey, 2 weeks later, maybe he'll forget. And then right about the time he recognizes what we did, hey, I don't really like that one. And he got us. But no, it could be a variety of different things. And maybe it's just, some hitters at some baseball stadiums, have the batter's eye, it hits them differently, and they hit really well at Petco Park or wherever it is. Like, I would equate it to that. Some plays, just as great as we may feel that the concept is, or hey, this is attacking everything we think we may see, it doesn't hit his brain, it doesn't hit his vision. So why call it? We'll just be coaching it up on Monday and wishing we didn't call it. We got plenty of plays and great players to get activated and involved. So that's the most important thing for me, is I never want to call a play that a quarterback doesn't feel really excited about when it comes into their headset. It's bad enough they have to hear my voice the whole game, but to hear my voice with a play they don't like, that doesn't sound very fun. Thanks,
there we go. Thank you. Appreciate that. And, of course, that's the head coach of the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, or as we affectionately call him, Q-Dubs. Before we go to Wild today, it is a Wild Wednesday here on The Fan, brought to you by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. We got tickets for this Saturday's game. When Tennessee gets done with Wild today, pick up the phone and give us a call. If you're the 11th caller, you win tickets to see the Wild take on the Flyers. 1-800-320-5326. But Tennessee, how about a little Wild today, me boy?
Yeah, this is Wild Today, brought to you by Jim Beam, the official bourbon of the Minnesota Wild. The Wild were down a goal in the final minute last night in Utah.
Boldy left point with a pass. It ricocheted free, came right back to him. Boldy now forced it to Johansson, right circle, thrown in front for a shot. He scored! Marco Rossi has tied the game! 43.2 seconds left, and the Wild have pulled even at 4!
Yeah, Joe O'Donnell on the call last night, right here on The Fan. Marco Rossi with that goal with 44 seconds left. Matt Boldy, he delivered in the shootout. The Wild won 5-4 in Utah. Marcus Johansson, good game for him. He tallied a goal and 2 assists as the Wild improved to a league best 12-2-3 on the road. They also tied Winnipeg for most points in the NHL at 42, though they have played 2 fewer games. Up next for the Wild, they begin a 5-game homestand against the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow night at the X. That was Wild Today, brought to you by Jim Beam, a crowd pleaser since 1795. Trips Meat Sauce this Saturday for the grand opening of Planet Fitness's new location in Edina. Stop by from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. to check out the new location and to register for great prizes, including a free 1-year Black Card membership and KFAN swag. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Tennessee, are you familiar with the GOAT collection?
The GOAT collection?
Yeah, the Tom Brady collection. 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady's personal collection titled the GOAT collection. Watches and treasures from Tom Brady sold for a combined total of over $9 million at auction at Sotheby's, New York. It was held on the 10th of this month. Where are we today? Is it today?
Well, today's the 11th.
So it was yesterday. Held yesterday with participants from 45 countries. The auction included Brady's Super Bowl is LI 51. I don't know my Roman numerals. The auction included Brady's Super Bowl 51 play card wristband.
Oh, boy.
Do you wear it around the house? Or do you when you do that Thanksgiving flag football game, do you wear it while you play? His 2000 NFL Combine shirt, his final college jersey, and several high-end watches. The highest selling of the 41 items was a yellow gold Rolex Daytona John Player Special, which had the highest pre-sale estimate of the collection of $600,000 to $900,000. It sold for $1.14 million.
You've got to be kidding me.
Brady wore the watch when Patriots owner Bobby Kraft told him he would be inducted into the team's Hall of Fame. So that was the watch. That's when time stood still. When Bobby said, Tommy, you're getting into the Hall. Another watch, a custom-made Audemars Piguet Royal Oak with Tom Brady written on its dial in diamonds, had a pre-sale estimate of $400,000 to $800,000.
You've got to be kidding me.
That sold for $720,000. He wore the watch for Netflix's The Roast of Tom Brady special. That's what he wore. The average sale price was $219,629, while the items sold for combined $9,004,800. 60% of the items exceeded their estimated price. Brady's collection of watches sold for combined $4.6 million, while the sports memorabilia fetched $4.4 million. Sotheby's said 800 people had registered to participate in the auction, with 40% of those under the age of 40. Very successful to be able to bid that kind of money before the age of 40. Tend to be, where did you and I go wrong? Brady's jersey from his last collegiate game sold for $792,000. His final Michigan Wolverines jersey was worn in a 35-34 Orange Bowl win over Bama. Brady threw for an NCAA career-high 369 and 4 tutties in that game, which included what would be the winning TD pass in OT. The T-shirt that Brady wore for the 2000 NFL Combine garnered $144,000.
You've got to be kidding me.
He ran a 5.28 second 40-yard dash in that T-shirt, the slowest by a quarterback for more than a decade, before being drafted in the 6th round by the Patriots. Other items included the helmet worn in his final game for the Patriots in 2019, sold for $102,000 after a 3-way bidding war, Tennessee. Maybe they should have made them all wear helmets and butt heads. And a football from the game in which he surpassed 100,000 total career passing yards in 2022. That sold for $144,000.
Why are people doing this?
His tracksuit from the Dunkin's Super Bowl commercial, autographed by co-stars Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, sold for $50,400. Bram Wachter, Sotheby's head of modern collectibles, said in a statement, "It has been truly gratifying to witness the warm reception from collectors and sports fans over the past few months. Regardless of their allegiance, collectors eagerly gathered to admire these cherished mementos from Tom's iconic career, honoring and respecting the remarkable accomplishments of the GOAT." You know why he did this, Tennessee? It wasn't because he just needed to clear out the storage room or the closet or the trophy case. I think Tom's hurting for money. I think that's his biggest problem. I mean, he's not getting paid that much from Fox. It's only like $349 million. I mean, it's not that. So, a guy like that.
He doesn't have Giselle DeLean on anymore.
No. Do you think he really wanted to part ways with that sweaty, stinky jersey he wore at the Combine? Well, it probably wasn't that sweaty. He ran a 5.28. He couldn't have broke much of a sweat.
I've actually heard that Mark Rosen's considering doing the same thing, auctioning off some of his great items, calling it the fraud collection. I'm curious as to what some of our writers, Larry Mondello guy, would think that he'd be willing to sell in those auctions.
Great bit for tomorrow. Let's get it started. Why not? We'll take a break. Speaking of the Fraud Father, he's next here on the Common Man program on the Fan.